So many of your fellow students are saying that the words from Rick Scott and his proposals just aren't enough. Are they enough for you?
I think they're definitely enough, and I think they're doing out of their way to make sure that this will never happen again. I think that clearly mental health restrictions to make sure you have to be mentally stable to acquire a weapon, deeper background checks, and raising the age from 18 to 21, as well as hardening schools, will definitely make sure that this will never happen again.
What do you make of so many of your other fellow students taking it a step or two farther and making this not about sort of never again, but making this more about whether it be banning assault rifles or other much more restrictive gun control measures?
Look, I know these kids on a personal level. I've talked to them personally. And it concerns me a bit because right now this is a bipartisan issue for mental health restrictions and reform, and they're taking it a step further. And that I talked to them personally, and many of them would like a complete ban on all weapons if possible. You can clearly see that slowly, sadly, the agenda is switching from never again to trying to ban weapons, and that's somewhat deeply concerning because I really want to make sure this will never happen again, but still I support the Second Amendment.
That reporting from the top of the show by Matt Finn, that there are serious questions about the Sheriff's Department, not only their response to the shooting with this one school resource officer standing outside, but the dozens of times that officers went to this shooter's home and did nothing. Is that where the conversation should be, or is it time to have
That is definitely
both?
where the conversation should be, and it absolutely outrages me that on the CNN town hall, we had the sheriff who was virtue signaling against the NRA and against guns when he didn't even act properly. The armed officer at our school waited outside, and then the sheriff and his men for 4 minutes let my classmates die while he sat outside and waited. He didn't even do his job properly, and then he comes around and turns around saying guns are the issue when he failed to act properly.
Evidently, there is at least reporting that he knew during that town hall, and we're talking about Sheriff Israel, that he knew that his deputy had waited outside and didn't disclose that, as you pointed out, talked about a lot of other issues. He says he's not going to resign. He says that he's had amazing leadership at his department. You agree with that? Where does the buck stop on this?
No, not at all. I think he absolutely needs to resign after what happened here. He failed to act on so many different levels, and himself, he's responsible for this massive failure. This could have been easily stopped, both by the FBI and the Sheriff's Department, had they acted.
I want to play you a clip from one of the other more outspoken students at your school discussing this issue, the failure of law enforcement, and get your reaction. Take a listen.
Obviously, there were some major mistakes made here and ones that we have to look into. And I don't want to say anything until after the investigation's done.
Okay, so he says he wants to wait for the investigation as it relates to law enforcement, but has pulled no punches, shall we say, when it comes to blaming the NRA and others. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's outrageous. I mean, I call BS on this situation right now. It's clear to see that on so many different levels, the Parkland government and officers, they failed to act, and they let us down, and they should have acted on multiple different times
one quick
make sure this
question.
will never happen.
Before I let you go, you guys are heading back to school on Wednesday, and it is clear there's a divide in your community. Understandably, there's a lot of anger. There's different political factions here and fault lines. How is your school going to come back together and heal from this?
Look, at the end of the day, we're all one big family. We've seen the amazing support from all different kinds, from every single person. You know, we're really one big family, and then at the end of the day, we're all linked. Taking away our opinions on gun rights, we never want this to happen again. We're all helping each other out, and I think at school on Wednesday, we're going to see that into play.
Well, we will all be praying for you and thinking about you and hoping that you all can come together through this. Appreciate you being on, Kyle, and we'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Thank you. God bless.
All the